assembly horsemen. The assembly clapped wildly. Harry settled to clap too.
Та вже стій так, як
Two,
стоїть.
but stopped quickly at the sight of Nick's face. The horses galloped into the middle of dance floor and halted, greeted a plugging and a large ghost at the front, whose bearded head was under his arm. Blowing their horn, leapt down, lifted his head right in the air so he could see over the crowd. Everyone laughed, and strode over to nearly headless Nick, squashing his hat back into his neck. Nick, he wrote, how are you? Head still hanging in there? He gave a hearty guffaw and clapped nearly headless Nick on the shoulder. Welcome, Patrick, said Nick swiftly. Linens, said Sir Unspect, spotting Harry, Ron, and Hermione had given a huge fake jump of astonishment, so that his head fell off again. The crowd howled with laughter. Very amusing, said nearly headless Nick darkly. Don't mind Nick, shouted Sir Patrick's head from the floor. Still Observer won't let him to join the hunt. But I mean to say, look at the fellow. I think Harry hurriedly. At a meaning look from Nick. Nick's very frightening and, ha! Yelled Sir Patrick's hair. Bet he asked you to say that. If I could have everyone's attention, it's time for my speech, said nearly headless Nick loudly, striding towards the podium and climbing into an icy blue spotlight. My lament lords, ladies and gentlemen, it is my great sorrow. But nobody heard much more. Sir Patrick and the great of a headless hunt had just started a game of hand hockey, and the crowds were turning to watch. Nearly headless Nick tried vainly to recapture his audience, but he gave up at Sir Patrick's head when sailing past him to large cheers. Harry was very cold by now, not to mention hungry. I can't stand much more of this, Ron muttered, his teeth clattering as the orchestra ground back into action as the ghosts went back onto the dance floor. Let's go, Harry agreed. They backed towards the door, nodded and beamed at anyone who looked at them, and a minute later they were hurrying back the passageway full of black candles. Flooding might not be finished yet, said Ron hopefully, leading the way towards the steps to entrance hall. Rip to kill. It was the same voice, the same cold, murderous voice he had heard in Lockhart's office. He stumbled to a halt, clutching at the stone wall, listening with all his might, looking around, squinting up and down the dimly lit passageway. Harry, what are you... It's that voice again. Shut up a minute. So long, Reed. Or so long. Listen, said Harry urgently, and Harry, Ron, and Hermione froze, watching him. Kill. Time to kill. The voice was growing fainter. Harry was assured it was moving away, moving upwards, and a mixture of fear and excitement gripped him at his tread and the dark ceiling. How could it be moving upwards? Was it a phantom to whom stone ceiling didn't matter? This way, he shouted, and he began to run up the stairs into the entrance hall. It was no good for hoping to hear anything here. The babble of talk from the Halloween feast was echoing from the great hall. Harry sprinted up the marble staircase to the first floor, Ron and Hermione clattering behind him. Harry, what are we... Shh! Harry strained at his ears. Distantly from the floor, around and growing fainter still, he heard the voice. I smell blood. I smell blood. His stomach lurched. It's going to kill someone, he shouted, and ignoring Ron and Hermione's bewildered faces, he ran up the next flight toward the steps 3 at a time, trying to listen over his own hurried footsteps. Harry hurtled around the whole of the second floor, Ron and Hermione painted behind him, not stopping until he turned in the corner into the last, the deserted passage. Harry, what was that all about? Said Ron, wiping sweat off his face. I couldn't hear anything, but Hermione gave a sudden gasp, pointing down at the corridor. Look! Something was shining on the wall ahead. They approached, slowly squinting down the darkness. Foot-high words that had been daubed on the wall between two windows, shimmering in the light cast by the flaming torches. The Chamber of Secrets has been opened. Enemies of the hair, beware. What's that thing hanging underneath? Said Ron, a slight quiver in his voice. As they edged nearer, Harry almost slipped over. There was a large puddle of water on the floor. Ron and Hermione grabbed at him, and they inched towards the message, all eyes fixed on a dark shadow beneath it. All 3 of them realized that it was once, and leapt backwards into splash. Mrs. Norris, the caretaker's hair, was hanging by her tail from the tall bracket. He was stiff as the board, her eyes wide and staring. For a few seconds they didn't move, then Ron said, Let's get out of here. Shouldn't we try to help? Harry began awkwardly. Trust me, said Ron. We don't want to be found here, but it was too late. The rumble as though a distant fountain told them that the feast has just ended. From either end of the corridor climbing the stairs in the loud happy talk of well-fed people. Next moment, students were crashing into the passage from both ends. The chatter, the bustle, the noise died suddenly as the people in front spotted the hanging cat. Harry and Hermione stood alone. In the middle of the corridor, a silence fell amongst the mass of students, pressing forward to see the girly slide. Then someone shouted through the big quiet. "Enemies to the high, beware! You'll be next, mudbloods!" It was Draco Malfoy. He had pushed the front to the crowd, his eyes alive, his usually bloodless face flushed as he grinned at the sight of the hanging, immobile cat.